Today, we're diving into a virus that the World Health Organization calls one of the most dangerous pathogens on the planet, Nipah. Now, you might not hear about it on the news every day, but for public health experts, it is a massive concern. So, how does a country get ready for a threat it's never even faced before? Well, we're going to break down Thailand's playbook, using their own official guidelines to see exactly how they plan to stay ahead of the game.
So, a little context first. Nipah is not some brand new virus. It first popped up back in 1998 in Malaysia. Since then, it's caused these repeated, really deadly outbreaks in places like Bangladesh and India, with another cluster reported as recently as 2023. So this isn't a threat that's gone away. It's active, it's persistent, and that's exactly why health organizations around the world are keeping such a close eye on it.
So, why are we zeroing in on Thailand? Well, this is the kicker. As the slide says, the country has never recorded a single human case of Nipah, which is fantastic news. But, and this is a big but, the animal that naturally carries the virus, the fruit bat, is found all over the country. That means the potential for it to jump to humans is always there. And that's why having a plan isn't just a good idea, it's absolutely critical.
Okay, so that brings us to the most basic question, right? How does this virus actually get from point A to point B? Because understanding how it spreads is, the first step in any plan to stop it.
The official guidelines lay out a few main routes. The virus can jump straight from an animal to a person, say, through contact with an infected bat or pig. It can also spread indirectly, like if you eat a piece of fruit that a bat has contaminated. And really importantly, once a person is sick, they can then pass it on to other people through close contact. These are the exact pathways the entire system is built to intercept.
So, knowing how it spreads is one thing, but how in the world do you find the very first case before it turns into a full-blown outbreak? This is where the official strategy really begins, and it all revolves around one very specific term.
Really think about that for a second. In a country of millions of people, how do you find patient zero? You can't just test everybody. You need a system, a smart filter really, to narrow down the entire population to just the handful of people who need immediate investigation.
And that smart filter has an official name, Patient Under Investigation, or PUI for short. Now, this is so important to understand. A PUI is not a diagnosis. It's an alert. It's a tripwire. A patient under investigation is anyone who checks enough boxes to trigger an immediate, full-scale public health response.
And what's so clever about this system is how simple the core idea is. To become a PUI, a person has to meet two different sets of criteria. It's a simple two-part formula. First, do they have the right symptoms? And second, have they potentially been exposed to the virus? You need both for the alarm to go off.
So let's break that formula down. On the symptoms side, the clinical criteria, officials are looking for a specific combo, a high fever and a really bad headache, plus either neurological problems like confusion and seizures or a severe respiratory illness. That's box number one. Then they look at risk. In the last 3 weeks, has this person been around fruit bats or sick pigs? Have they been near a confirmed Nipah patient or traveled to an outbreak area? If you get a yes in both of these columns, bam, the alarm bells ring and you are officially a PUI.
The moment a doctor identifies someone as a PUI, the entire system kicks into overdrive. And I mean overdrive. Speed is absolutely everything, and the whole response is designed around a series of incredibly tight deadlines.
The first clock starts ticking right away. From the moment a PUI is identified, the hospital has a maximum of 3 hours, just 3 hours, to report that case to the Provincial Public Health Office. Not a day, not even half a day. 3 hours.
And then it gets even faster. Once the provincial office has that report, they have just 1 hour to get it to the national level, to the Department of Disease Control. So just think about that. In 4 hours total, a potential case anywhere in the country can go from a local hospital bed to the desks of the nation's top disease experts. That's fast.
So, what's the philosophy behind this need for speed? It's actually pretty simple. It's like a high-tech smoke alarm. You don't wait to see flames. You want a system that's so sensitive, it screams the second it detects the tiniest puff of smoke. That speed is designed to buy the one thing you can never get back in an outbreak: time. Okay, so the alarm has been sounded, a potential case is on the radar. What happens next? Well, this next phase is all about two things. One, getting a 100% accurate diagnosis, and two, making sure every single healthcare worker is completely safe while they do it. Getting the diagnosis right is just non-negotiable. So suspected cases tested with really accurate lab methods like PCR. But here's the key safety check. One positive test isn't enough. The samples have to be sent to at least 2 different labs for testing, and one of them has to be an official top-level reference lab. It's basically a trust but verify system to make absolutely sure the result is certain.
And of course, when you're dealing with a potentially deadly virus, you have to handle it with extreme care. The protocol for moving samples is called the triple packaging system. Think of it like a set of nesting dolls for safety. First, the sample goes into a sealed, leak-proof tube. That tube then goes inside a second watertight container. And finally, that whole package goes into a tough outer box for transport. It's a 3-layer defense system to make sure that sample is totally secure.
And then there's protecting the people on the front lines, which is obviously a huge priority. The plan lays out 2 different levels of personal protective equipment, or PPE. For anyone who has direct contact with the patient or their bodily fluids, it's full PPE. We're talking the whole shebang: coverall suit, N95 mask, goggles, double gloves. For staff who aren't in direct contact, standard PPE is enough. It's a smart, tailored approach that matches the level of protection to the actual level of risk.
All right, let's pull all of these pieces together. When you step back and look at this whole detailed plan, what does it really tell us about how Thailand is approaching the threat of Nipah virus? When you boil it all down, the strategy really stands on 4 main pillars. First, you've got that smart filter, the PUI definition to find the first case. Second, a rapid-fire reporting system that's built for speed. Third, a super rigorous double-check lab process to guarantee accuracy. And finally, strict safety rules to protect everyone on the front lines. So, I think the biggest takeaway here is this. Being prepared isn't just about having a plan written down in a binder somewhere. It's about having an active, living, breathing system of surveillance. These guidelines show that Thailand isn't just sitting around waiting for a Nipah case to show up. It has built a system that is actively watching, always ready to respond at the very first sign of trouble.
And that leaves us with one final big question to think about. We often talk about new vaccines and treatments as our best weapons against diseases. But after seeing this, you have to wonder, maybe our most powerful tool, our very first and most important line of defense, is simply the ability to see a threat coming. In a world full of new and emerging viruses, maybe a great surveillance system is the one thing that will keep us all safe.